Hi, welcome to another episode of How to Do Atkins Low Carb. My name is, of course, Kent Altena, and today's episode comes out of a message I got from one of my friends on the Atkins Diet. His name is Izaboutime, and he wrote me a few weeks ago and said, "While on the Atkins journey, I was really taking the weight off diligently, doing things by the book. I was exercising, but made the mistake of getting greedy on scale numbers. I was forcing myself to perspire through all my cardio workouts, so much so that I thought I had a heart attack from overexertion. Turns out I had actually made myself too low on potassium because all the potassium I was taking in through my food, I was sweating through my pores and not giving it enough time to go through my system. The symptoms and effects of low levels of potassium are almost always heart-related. Scared the you-know-what out of me because I didn't learn about what I had until 5 days later." He goes on to say, "Long story short, I have been since replenishing my body with proper doses of potassium and being careful about how I do things." So that goes into what my topic of the today is can you actually hurt yourself while losing weight? Is hypokalemia, which is potassium deficiency, a real and present danger for those on the Atkins diet? But before we go into that, let's go into what we actually use potassium for in our bodies. One of the main sources of potassium is as an electrolyte. It's one of those things that maintains osmotic and pH balance of your body, ensuring that the body maintains the correct and proper fluid balance, i.e. not holding in or retaining too much fluid, and ensures proper heart and renal function. The second thing it mainly is used for is ensures proper neuron transmittal, i.e. it's one of the main things that enables electrical activity to flow through your neurons, which is your brain and nerve cells. So if you don't have enough of these electrolytes in your body, the signals doesn't transfer from one side of the body to the other side. And the third thing it's used for is for proper muscle functioning. Without enough potassium in your body, it's the thing that prevents the body from going into consistently contracted state. So with that in mind, the recommended amount of intake per day is 4 to 5 grams or 4,000 to 5,000 milligrams every day. So why might this be a problem on the Atkins diet? Well, one of the problems on the Atkins diet is that the initial phase of the Atkins diet, as you are losing the glycogen from your muscle state, it's a very diuretic effect. As in with most diets, they have that initial water weight loss phase. Well, as you lose that glycogen, which is 2 parts water for every 1 part sugar or glucose, the body releases a ton of water, and including in that is a number of electrolytes. So the important part is that one maintains the amount of water and electrolytes as you thereby lose it. Dr. Atkins on page 93 and 97 recommended a simple multivitamin that included potassium on it, as well as partaking of potassium-enriched foods. Well, which foods are those? Which foods typically has potassium? Well, whenever I thought of potassium before actually being educated on it, I thought, well, eat a banana. A banana is good for you. It has plenty of potassium in it. And while that may be true, that's not exactly the most Atkins-friendly answer. What Atkins-friendly answer might you have? Well, a number of Atkins-friendly foods are certainly potassium enriched. I.e. most leafy green vegetables, i.e. chard, spinach, dandelion greens, and Brussels sprouts are loaded with potassium. Tomatoes are loaded with potassium. Broccoli and cauliflower are loaded with potassium. But it doesn't just stop there. One of the number one ways to get potassium in your body is meats. That might not be found on many of the online websites, but a 4-ounce piece of beef has 495 milligrams. Compare that to one medium-sized banana, which only has 422 milligrams. You can see that beef has a lot more milligrams of potassium in it than does a banana. The same holds true for pork or chicken or even fish. So you can obviously see where the Atkins diet has a very rich source of potassium within it. So that said, what are some of the symptoms of hypokalemia, i.e. a potassium deficiency? Mild cases of hypokalemia feature fatigue, Anxiety as a neuron functioning within the brain starts to be impeded. Acne, weak memory and memory loss, another one of those brain functions. You might also see elevated blood pressure, and finally you might also provoke some cardiac arrhythmias like you saw in Izaboutime's reaction. More moderate cases of hypokalemia, you might also see some muscular weakness, myalgia, which is muscle pain, pains within the muscle, and muscle cramps. And finally, you might also see some constipation as the body is unable to process the water retention like it should. In severe cases of hypokalemia, you might also even go into paralysis as the muscle just simply shuts down and contracts, even featuring the intercostal muscles, which will prevent you from breathing. So what are the causes of this? As we talked about, the diuretic effect of the Atkins diet, in which you're losing a lot of the water and the electrolytes out of your body. But other than that, diuretics, stimulant laxatives, and eating disorders, i.e. like bulimia, will also give you a potassium deficiency. Excessive sweating, like in the case of Izaboutime, in which you're losing your electrolytes through your sweating. So you might even see a case of hypokalemia as people are doing marathon training. Diarrhea, as the food that within your bodies is rapidly being expelled before it has proper case of being the potassium intake via the intestines, either the small or the large. If it doesn't have enough time within the body to be absorbed, your body's not going to achieve full use of that potassium. Diseases that affect the kidney's ability to retain potassium. One example of this is Cushing's disease. And finally, surgical procedures that shorten the intestines that might prevent uptake or absorbing potential chemicals or minerals within the body. And finally, one of the more surprising things that you might not find cause hypokalemia, it's very rare that a poor diet would actually cause hypokalemic effects. Most people might not be eating through the full levels, the 4 to 5 milligrams, 4 to 5 grams of potassium each day, but it's very rare that the poor diet may cause that hypokalemic effects within the body. If you eliminate a lot of the processed foods within your body, a lot of the natural foods that are very rich in potassium should easily be able to satisfy your needs for potassium and prevent any hypokalemic effects. So how is it treated? Well, mild cases are typically treated by encouraging the patient to eat foods that are rich in potassium. Things like the meat, the leafy vegetables like I talked about, the spinach, the chard, the dandelion greens, the Brussels sprouts. Nuts are also a fantastic source of potassium. Almonds, 2 ounces of almonds have over 450 milligrams of potassium in it. In some cases, it may be necessary to take potassium supplements, but one of the things that Dr. Atkins mentioned is that if you take a multivitamin that even includes a potassium, I'm not sure if you can see that, but this one does. One of the things you'll notice is that it's very anemic in terms of how much potassium it has in it. This one, for instance, only has 100 milligrams of potassium in it, far underneath the 4,000 milligram daily intake recommended levels. So it's very difficult to purchase over the counter any sufficient potassium supplement to supplement your diet. Why is that? Well, it's because the dangers of hyperkalemia, i.e. too much potassium in your diet, has just as much danger in it as too little potassium in your diet. One of the dangers of too much potassium in your diet is sending your heart into fibrillation. Your heart just contracts in a very disorganized manner. So the doctor needs to. So if you think you have a case of hypokalemia, go see your doctor. Make sure that he's on board with however you're going to treat it. And finally, moderate to severe cases of hypokalemia are typically treated with an IV that is enriched with potassium solutions. And I've read online other people who have had to have that done, and they refer to it as like lava being poured through your veins, and it's a very painful event, and they had to be sedated almost to get the potassium into their bodies. Well, I hope none of the people who are watching this video have actually ever had to deal with these events. I know I've talked about making sure that your electrolyte drinks when you're exercising have a proper sodium potassium blend in all my exercise videos, and the importance of making sure you get your electrolytes in a number of other videos. So hopefully nobody has to deal with this, but if you do, make sure you see your doctor. I'm certainly not a doctor, and he can certainly treat you a lot better than some guy on the internet. So hope this reaches everybody in good health. Talk to you guys later. Bye.